All right, and we back with another episode of Hey, I'm Just Asking. And today, we're going to talk about the rise and fall of Deathrow Records. Now, Deathrow, we all know about Deathrow Records. Hey man, early 90s. Hey man, they had the game on lock. And it all started. I think it really actually started once Ice Cube left NWA. When Ice Cube left NWA, he left because he said the paperwork wasn't right. The contracts were shaky. So Ice Cube bounced. Then Dr. Dre, they wound up doing another album, like the biggest album off Ruthless at that time was the Niggas for Life. So they came back with that, and then Dr. Dre found out, hey, my paperwork faulty. So hey, he got with DOC, and they saying, man, DOC signed for a chain. Do y'all think that's true with Ruthless Records? Did DOC actually sign for a chain? That's another blow. But anyway, so DOC like, man, I know my man Suge. Man, Suge is a mover and groover in the industry, man. He know people. Man, he can make this happen, man. We could start our own record label. So wow, Dr. Dre, you know, he fell for the bait and was like, look, but it was a great decision. Who don't want to go if you've been robbed out of your money? Who wouldn't want to go and get another be in a better position or a better job? So Dr. Dre bounced and took the whole Ruthless with him, really. But it's only one thing. Dr. Dre, you're under contract. So here comes the myth of Suge Knight. So allegedly, Suge ran up in the Jerry Heller office and was like, hey, look, man, get my man out that contract. They in there with bats and goons. But that, you see in the movie that they did Easy-E Dirty, that's false. But anyway, some bullying took place. So, some type of way through a money agreement, hey, Dr. Dre is let off Ruthless, and now the beginning of Deathrow. Deathrow was started by, well, it was funded by, they say, Michael Hurry O. But the one that took the reins in his hands to really make it official, and he don't get the credit he deserved for Deathrow, is my man Dick Griffey, the original Suge Knight. He was Suge before Suge. Dick Griffey. Do your homework on Dick Griffey. So Dick Griffey schooled Suge Knight to the game and showed him, hey man, this is how you run things if you want to create an empire. And man, he did. Deathrow started out slow, you know, trying to shop the Chronic around. So they started doing, what was that, soundtracks. And the soundtrack that put Deathrow on the map, Deep Cover, 187 on an undercover car. Hey, once that dropped, we like, oh man, we can't wait to hear what Dre gonna do. We can't wait to hear what Dre gonna do. So man, Dre comes out with the Chronic. So now Death Row is solidified. But it's early. Death Row came out, man. It was clean cut, like professional. How you supposed to carry black business? The gangster element wasn't involved yet. Not on the surface. So man, they dropped the Chronic. And I know that went like, it was close to diamond. I don't know what the actual numbers was, but I know it made hip hop history, right? So deep cover, man, they got this guy on there, Snoop Doggy Dogg. And at that time, man, when Snoop came out, man, nobody had the voice like Snoop, and his style was just so original. With that behind that G-Funk and that Dr. Dre production, with the writers, man. So we was in high anticipation for Snoop Doggy Dogg. Man, Snoop Dogg, we're waiting Snoop Dogg. And the time we waiting Snoop Dogg, man, Dre going through charges with the D-Bonds, beating on women, you know, drinking good. Man, but Death Row had that lawyer clout, and everything got worked out with Dre, but Dre had the earliest problems. Then it come to Snoop Dogg. Doggy Style is dropped, and that changed the game forever. You back-to-back blockbuster albums. Then Snoop is going through the murder trial with Johnny Cochran. Rest in peace. Man, Johnny Cochran helped him beat that charge, man. And Death Row was on his way, man. Death Row had the West. Death Row, at that time, what they don't tell y'all, like Death Row became the powerhouse immediately. The record sales on the East Coast wasn't doing that good. Like the West Coast had, everything that was dropping on the West Coast was platinum. At least, at minimum. The East, struggling. Like, it's no Jay-Z yet. You know, it's big, it's just starting to make his rounds. You know? At that particular time, Naughty by Nature was holding down the East Coast. Matter of fact, Naughty by Nature saved hip-hop. But that's another blog. So, wow. Now, Doggy Style blows up. Doggy Style blows up. So now, Death Row is powerful. Death Row is powerful. But the birth of Biggie, now Death Row has competition. And this is where the game changes for Death Row. So with Death Row having competition, first, Bad Boy, Death Row, those camps was cool. Man, and then Death started happening. Death started happening, man, and then the tension grows between Death Row and Bad Boy. Tupac is locked up. Tupac has tension with Bad Boy and New York. So what does Death Row do? Sign the best guy in the game, Tupac Shakur. Now, the game's definitely over. Before he dropped the album, once we heard Tupac was on Death Row, we knew it was over. We didn't know to what extent, but we knew Death Row was gonna come back blazing. And man, Tupac drops All Eyes on Me. Double CD. Best double CD in hip hop history. Hands down. Tupac dropped that All Eyes on Me. Man, then you start seeing the change in Suge Knight. But maybe a little before. Suge Knight started wearing the red suits and the cigars of some M.O.B. boss status. So now you done took it to one of the most successful black record labels to gangster. And man, that gangster reputation rolled with Suge Knight everywhere he went as soon as he put that red suit on. It was that red suit, and when they was at the Source Awards, when you don't want the executive producer all in the videos, dancing, come to Death Row. Once that started, that was the decline or the starting of the fall for Death Row. So now, it's tension, but a little before that, the Dog Pound album comes out. And they come out with this one, New York, New York, with Snoop crushing the buildings. Man, at the time, as far as videos go, that had to be the most controversial video between East Coast, West Coast, as far as disses. Man, and in the process of them doing that video, man, Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. called up on the radio station. It was like, man, I know y'all not letting them come down here like this. They doing videos on the East Coast. And what they do? Brrr, man, shoot up they set. Or shoot in their trailer, man. And the beef was on. So then Tupac comes back, drops, hit 'em up. Man, changes the game. So now the gangster persona is at its highest. And then him and Snoop come back and do America's Most Wanted with the Biggie diss in the beginning. Oh, man. Man, Death Row could do no wrong. Everybody hitting. You got Dog Pound. You got Snoop. You got Dre. You got Suge Knight as the face. And you got Tupac. So, man, money pouring in. But then the climate, I guess, in the studio and conducting business changes. M.O.B. Suge on his gangster shit. Man, Dr. Dre like, look, man, I gotta get out of here. Man, they curring the studio like the hood. And this is a place of business. Man, we trying to make millions. Y'all in here with the niggardry. Man, we heard stories of people getting whooped in the booth. Man, engineers getting smacked up. People getting chains took. Man, they jumping people and still having you around. just to let you know, this Death Row. Man, so the gangster element went all the way to the roof. So, man, like I said, Death Row making money. Death Row like, look, man, we about to open for Mike Tyson. Mike on his comeback run, man. Mike on his comeback run. Man, who better to come down to bring you out but Tupac? Man, Tupac comes out, man, brings Mike down. Man, it was a success. Mike knock him out early. I think that was Bruce Seldon. Got him out of there. So, man, they chilling in the lobby. So somebody noticed that, hey, look, they had put a bounty on them Death Row chains, right? And why they see one of the guys, man, that took the Death Row chain and Pac was on them. I ain't gonna say they beat the brakes on them, but they they washed them up. They washed them up pretty good. Man, homie wasn't having. Squatted up with his folks. Hey, they catch Tupac and Suge lacking. Man, wet up the BMW. Man, a sad day in hip hop. Man, we lose Tupac Shakur. Man, Death Row has never been the same since. Now it's starting to fall. It's starting to crumble. Snoop did Dogfather. Man, that wasn't a good album. It was good enough for, I guess, record sales to be. I think that jump still went platinum, but as far as this is your sophomore album and you come back with that, man, we knew the presence of Dr. Dre not being around. Man, that album was terrible. So, man, all right. Tupac gone. But he still comes back with the Machiavelli. So, man, that's Death Row. Even though the loss of Tupac, they still on top. But the ship is sinking fast. Dr. Dre's gone. Now Snoop left. He goes to No Limit. So now, you have no stars. You have no stars now. Or you don't have anyone with star power. You had Dog Pound, but they get to start beefing. So I think Corrupt stayed and Dash left. But Corrupt left a little bit earlier, but came back. So, man, Death Row is in shambles. Death Row is in shambles. And then to make it worse, from the Vegas incident, Suge Knight has to go to jail. And, man, Suge Knight goes to jail. But the war in the Cali streets between Tupac losing, man, the Pyru stepped up and, man, either they was killing and was dying. So Death Row was, man, teetering on losing it all. And I think right after that, man, maybe sometime after that, Suge might have went for bankruptcy, but as we know, Reggie Wright was holding that down. But man, it was too messy with Death Row. Too much gangsterism. Like, let me tell y'all something for y'all rappers. Don't sign to gangsters or the plug. Because it won't be business, it will be streets. And the streets, you can't win. Because the streets gonna always want to bully the situation. So, man, wow. Deathrow starts going down. But they tried to do a rebranding. Suge Home. They want to call it The Row. They get left out. Call her Nina. Got my man Crooked Eye. They had other few guys. But man, Death still was around that record label, man. Nina dies. And I think when that happened, man, it was pretty much over. Suge went from being a bully to every time after that, man, we see him on cam, he's getting bullied. He's getting knocked out. He's getting shot. Wow. So then, man, Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, man, they want to team up and make Straight Outta Compton. Suge like, oh nah, if I'm in that movie, you gotta break bread. My likeness, I need my cut. So he want to go down there and confront the situation. And man, sadly, man, somebody lost their life, man. He ran over, he didn't want the fade, man. He ran over one of his associates. Wound up killing him, man. And that was the end of Suge Knight and Deathrow. Man, probably the saddest fall in hip-hop history, man, because they should have been the greatest, man. They were on their way to the hip-hop Motown. They had so much talent, so many superstars on that label, where they could have took the game over forever. And then was even trying to start black distribution. Tupac started that movement. That's another blow. But yeah, man, that fall of Deathrow, man. Man, it's so sad, man. So many people lost their lives or are in jail, man. But salute to Deathrow, because that's probably the best label to ever do it on that West Coast. Now, I know you got Ruthless, but I would still say that Deathrow was a little stronger. But either you on Death Row or you died on Death Row, man. I don't know. I know this was a pretty long blog, but man, tell me what y'all think about this one. The rise and fall of Deathrow. Was it the saddest in hip-hop history? Hey, I'm just asking. Man, like this video, share this video, comment, and subscribe.